Family and Consumer Science.
Mr. Greenland's podcast.
Let's learn facts.
Feet on the floor, back straight, never bow to your plate. Chew with your mouth closed, chew with your mouth closed. Get your elbows off the table.
Hello, everybody. This is Mr. G. Welcome to Family and Consumer Science Television or Family and Consumer Science Channel. Today, let's get out a piece of paper and number it 1 through 50. We're going to move quick today. I'm going to be giving you questions pertaining to family and consumer science, food handling, food safety, food service, and 50 nice, concise, almost a competency-based assignment here where you will answer these questions at some point, but in sentences. Upper left-hand corner, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our first and last name. Under that, let's put our date that we are watching this fabulous video, and the period you are taking the class. These are the 50 things that you should know in and out of the food industry and the hospitality industry, real life stuff that will keep you safe. And as you eat food and produce food, I don't want to ramble about it. Let's get started. I am not going to give you the answers. I am just going to give you the questions, okay? And here we go. Number 1. Cans of soda are stored behind a counter with ice on top of it. Is it okay to take some of that ice that the soda is being cooled with or kept the temperature with and use that ice to put in a customer's or your drink? Explain. Number 2, what is the main cause or what occurs that food contamination takes place? And there's a lot of them, but what's the major one that you should do right off the top that really could alleviate a lot of the problems when cooking? What should be done? What's the main cause? What do you think that is? We should do what? Okay, number 3, eating hot liquids that have been time temperature abused. What could happen? What could happen if you eat food that has been time temperature abused, meaning not stored properly? What could happen to you? What could happen to you? Number 4, when you are working with food, when must an apron be taken off when a particular task is taking place? Number 5, after your temperature-controlled foods have come to 165 degrees, when you're cooking with a microwave, what should you do to that food that comes out of the microwave before you serve it? What should you do or let that do? Number 6, if you cut your hand and you have a Band-Aid on it, some restaurants want you to wear a brightly colored bandage. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they want a nice orange or yellow or bright colored bandage when working around food? Number 7, give me an example of how cross-contamination when dealing with foods could take place. What could cause it? By what happening to what, or a particular kind of food, touching a particular kind of food? What would cause cross-contamination? Number 8, you got a thermometer out, an internal food thermometer, and you washed it. They're usually pretty airtight, except the electronic ones, and most of your food thermometers are pretty airtight. You've washed it, you've sanitized it. How are you going to dry it? Number 9. How can a restaurant or a buffet help prevent cross-contamination by having what in place when you are at a buffet? What is in place on top of the food that is being heated? What is that called? Number 10. When should hand lotion or hand sanitizer be used? When should it be used? Before, during, or after, or if the gloves are not available? That's a tough one. But really, you should not, I'll give you the answer to that one. You really should not have too much. You shouldn't have your hands using hand sanitizer as the go-to of that. You should wear gloves when available and antibacterial if nothing else is there. You put a bandage over your cut on your hand. Oh, poor Mr. G cut his hand. He put a brightly colored bandage on it. And what should be done before I can start working with that bandage? What else should I put on, perhaps? Number 12. True or false? A biological hazard is bacteria, viruses, and parasites that may cause some type of hazard. Bacteria and viruses, is that biological? True or false? Number 13. When storing foods, okay, you got your foods, it's on a rack, okay, how many inches off the ground should the food be stored? Let's say things be off the ground. How high should the racks be off the ground? When the minimal inches, how many is that? Okay. You need to check your sanitizing solution to make sure that it is properly done. Your bleach ratio, your liquid ratios. When a food handler notices that the water temperature is too low, should the food handler use sanitation solution to sanitize that pans if he's not sure if the sanitizing solution is, the ratios are correct? Can you wear nail polish in the labs when you have nail polish or fake nails? Can you wear that in the labs? The answer to that is depending on local regulatory authority if gloves are being worn. Personally, write this down as the answer. If you got long nails on and they're cutting that back of those gloves, you shouldn't be having those long nails on, okay? So let's be aware of that when we're dealing with food. What is the first thing when you're setting up a 3-compartment sink? Our first compartment sink is filled with hot soapy water at 110 degrees. The second one is left clear, empty, so you can rinse the water through it. And the next one is your sanitation. What should you do first to that first sink that is going to have hot soapy water in it? What should you do to that sink before you add hot soapy water to that? Very good question. Number 17. What is true or false? Is this the correct way to wash your hands? True or false? Wet hands and arms, apply soap, scrub hands and arms, rinse and dry. Is that the correct way to do it, or is there another way that should be done? When you are done with a 3-compartment sink washing your dishes, again, 110 degrees, hot soapy water, empty sink, hot water, rinsing it, soap on there. Oh, I'm sorry, I lost my. You just washed all your dishes. Now, how are you going to dry them? How are you going to dry them? Very good question. How are you going to dry them? Thinking, of course, we don't want to touch it with anything, so maybe we want to put it upside down and let it air dry. That's the question. Here's another easy one for you. Okay. Which empty, cleaned, and sanitized container may not be used for storing foods? Okay? Which one is not be used for storing foods? A gallon plastic container of sour cream, a gallon stainless steel pot, 5-gallon bucket of barbecue sauce, a 5-gallon bucket that was once filled with trash. Number 20. If you are taking the trash out, outside dumpster, what should you do to that bag before it goes into the dumpster? A, tie it up real tight. B, leave it open. Or C, just throw it in there and bring the trash bag back in. Number 21. Which item is not appropriate for drying your hands? Okay? Which one is not appropriate for drying your hands? Using your apron, hot air hand dryer, single-use paper towel. What shouldn't you use to dry your hands? Number 22. Which food is at a temperature that allows bacteria to grow well? What is the food danger zone? I'm going to call it out on that one. What's a food danger zone? Meaning, what is the food danger zone? That's a great question. The food danger zone is number 23. Which items has no food contact surface area? Mop bucket, utensils, glasses, or tongs? Number 24. True or false, a food handler must wash their hands before the beginning of each task, as well as change your gloves. True or false? Number 25. A food handler, yourself, you're in the kitchen, and you see a spray for bugs. Or you see a spray for something that is not food related. What kind of hazard is that? A biological hazard, environmental hazard, a physical hazard, or a chemical hazard? Let me check with Brendan. Brendan, how are we doing for time?
We have 15 minutes left.
How much?
14.
14 minutes, thank you. Okay, number 26. If you have a cutting board and it is scratched or chipped, should you use it? Why or why not? And what kind of hazard is that? Jewelry. There's really only 2 types of jewelry allowed in a kitchen. What are they? Diamond bracelet, sports watch, medical ID bracelet, plain metal ring. Choose 2. Number 28. When you're washing dishes, what should you do to the dishes before it gets into the hot soapy water? What should you do to that? What should you do before it goes into the water? And again, hot soapy water, 110 degrees, dry sink, hot water to rinse, sanitize, air dry. What are we going to do to all that food before it goes into the hot soapy water? When you receive some foods at a restaurant or you're at a supermarket, when should the temperature be taken? Should it be taken when you first get it at the store? Or should you take the temperature on it or check to see if it's fresh after you get home? Number 30. But where do we keep and why our dishcloths as we're using them in the kitchens? Do we want to leave them A, rinsed out nice and dry, as dry as we can on the counter, or B, in a small sanitation bucket that you can leave the dishcloth in and get to as you need it and then put back in? What should you do with that? Number 31. Number 31. What temperature should your dishes be at? What temperature should your dishwashing first sink setup be at? What should the temperature of that first sink? And we talked about it already during this video. What temperature should it be at? The top of the plate where you serve the food. What is that called? A, food danger zone. B, food contact surface. D, food temperature risk. Number 33. If you want to have a drink while you're working, and say you want to keep a beverage near you, how should that beverage be kept? What kind of cup? Well, I'm going to tell you, if you're going to have a drink in there, should be a paper cup with a top on it and a straw. If you want to bring your water bottle into you, that's fine, but we really should have a straw in there as well. Staples, metal shavings, from when we sharpen knives. What kind of hazard is that? A, biological. B, chemical. C, physical. D, environmental. Number 35, you just made some chicken. You took that chicken out of there and it's raw. And you've been touching it and you've been cutting everything, and now you're ready to start a new task. Now you're going to cut up some lettuce. What should you do? What should you do? And there's a few things you should do after you've dealt with chicken or hamburger so you don't get cross-contamination or cross-contact. What should you do to your hands, and what should you do to your equipment? Number 36, a food handler sneezes and then goes back to work without washing their hands. What's possible can happen? What could happen? Time temperature abuse or cross-contamination? Number 37. If you see food and it says on it, use by date, does that mean you definitely need to throw out that food if it is at the use by date or the expiration date? Does it mean you definitely have to throw that out when you see that? What should you do? 38. 38. Ready-to-eat foods or TCS foods must be marked with the date it must be sold or eaten. We've all seen that. Let me reread that again. Number 38. Ready-to-eat TCS foods must be marked with the date by which it must be sold, eaten, or thrown out. It can be held no longer than how many hours? Meaning, temperature-controlled service, meaning you have some food, it's staying nice and hot. How many hours can it sit before you got to throw it out? Number 38, fruits and vegetables that are cooked for hot holding must reach a temperature of at least how many degrees? Fruits and vegetables that are cooked for hot holding. So I got some chili, I got some chicken, and I'm holding it in a hot, approved holding facility or a crock pot or on your stove at a low temperature. What temperature should I have that at to assure it won't go bad quickly? Number 40. Which hot-held food is in the food danger zone? Okay? And what is the food danger zone? What is the food danger zone? Number 40. What is the food danger zone? Well, a little bonus, I'm going to tell you, it's temperature where bacteria grows well. So, number 41 would be, what temperature is the food danger zone? Okay? Your refrigerator, okay, is at 32 to 41 degrees Fahrenheit. So anything over 41 degrees is known as the food danger zone. Number 41, if you want to thaw chicken or hamburger, what are 2 correct ways that you can do it? Leave it on the counter overnight, run it under water of 100 degrees Fahrenheit, in the freezer in a deep metal pan, or in the refrigerator at 41 degrees and under. Number 42. A food handler has been cutting up raw poultry for 2 hours. Wow, he's working hard. And now going to chop lettuce. Does the cutting board need to be cleaned and sanitized? Why? What's your answer? Yes or no? And why does it need to be cleaned and sanitized? Number 43. Cross-contamination makes food unsafe because of why? A, pathogens are transferred from one surface to another. B, food flavors can mix during food prep. Number 44. What is the correct internal temperature for chicken? And where do you take the temperature of poultry or foods? I got poultry. I'm putting the thermometer in to the thickest part. Please write that down. Thickest part, okay? And poultry should get to 165 degrees. Okay. I forgot what number I was just at. Brenda, what number was I just at? Are you paying attention?
It was 41.
41? Okay, thank you. 42. What temperature do you need to cook hamburger or beef to? Not 165. Hamburger and beef, safe internal temperature. Number 43. How should you stack your food in the refrigerator? Is this the correct way to stack it? True or false? Chicken and poultry on the bottom, hamburger on the next level, fruits and vegetables, and then lettuce on top. That sounds good to me. Brendan, what number am I on? I've really lost all track of things. 42. 43. What food needs temperature-controlled service to remain edible and not start growing? Okay, which food? A basket of French fries, a container of potato salad, a bag of uncooked potatoes. Next question. Where should you take the temperature of your food? Where should you take the internal temperature of your food? Okay. Next question. How long should you wash your hands for? How long should you wash your hands for? Next question. If you pick up a plate, should I have my thumb on the plate? Yes. Why or why not? Next question. If a food handler is reaching for a cup, and I see this at Dunkin' Donuts a lot, okay, here's my Dunkin' Donuts coffee, And the person I got this coffee from today, I saw them take it, even though it's a lid, put their hands on it, and gave us a little swirl. What is the term cause for if they had something on their hands? What's that called? Cross contamination or cross contact. Okay. Next one. True or false? Should there be a separate hand washing sink to wash your hands with? Yes or no? And where is it in your kitchen lab, in our room? Where is the sink? And yes, write down yes, it should be a separate sink to wash your hands in. Next question, why do we want to have a separate sink to wash our hands in? Why? Why can't we just wash our hands in the sink that we're going to be filling up for our three sink washing dishes that we've talked about? Well, we have 2 minutes to go. I want you now to hopefully have 50 questions on there. I know I got a little erratic near the end, trying to get everything in. Wherever we left off on 43, I suggest as part of this, you will figure out 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, and 50. Next question. And if we go over 50 questions, that's just what's going to happen. But I think this is an important one. What's the difference between cleaning and sanitizing? Or what's the difference between clean and sanitize? What is it? That's a good questions. Next question. No, I think we're done with questions. I hope you were able to follow this. This is good stuff. Good stuff. Good, useful stuff. You need to make sure we have this in and completed before, or this is a good assessment of your skills and your knowledge of food handling. I think this went pretty well. My name is Mr.G. Please make sure that you have these questions completed, hopefully with some sentence structure. That would be great. Or nice and clear and neat. Okay, again, this right on the very top of this paper, on the line, very top line in the middle, for the title of this, put down food handling competency paper. This is Mr. G. Hope you got something out of this. Good luck finding the answers to these. I think you probably know most of them. Now that we know them, now we're going to be practicing them daily to make you more independent, you more successful, you more sanitary, and you live in that family and consumer science life. This is Mr. G. Get your elbows off the table. This ain't no horse's stable, but a respectable dining room table. Feet on the floor, back straight. Never bow over your plate. Chew with your mouth closed. Chew with your mouth closed.
Mr. Greenland's podcast.
Let's learn facts.
Feet on the floor, back straight. Never bow to your plate. Chew with your mouth closed. Chew with your mouth closed. Get your elbows off the table.